Hi everybody, Marcy Bullock with Resume or CV, commonly known as Curriculum Vitae. So if you are applying for jobs right now and you are asked to send a resume, you pretty much know what that is. We have a multiple part video series on how to write your resume. But sometimes even undergraduate students see that their next job might involve that whole crystal ball, like what could it be? It could be something in a government agency or academia where they're asking you to send a curriculum vitae. So today you're going to learn the difference between a resume and a CV and how to write both of those. Again, refer to our resume videos for more on that topic. So when to have a resume or a CV? I would say if you are applying for a position, you would always use a two-page resume unless a CV is requested. Now, two-page is actually long for an undergraduate. If you are a graduate student, you would go to 2 pages, but for an undergrad, I'd probably stick with 1 page. So just keep in mind that if they request a CV, that's usually going to be a government or academic institution, but have both of them ready and you can tailor them based on where you're going to send them. But always have that generic, if you're an undergraduate, 1 page, if you're a graduate student, 2 page default resume that you have on your LinkedIn profile. So anytime you apply for a job, the job description is your rule book. It tells you the specific rules of how to be successful in this position. And if I'm a hiring manager, you want my playbook. You want to know what I'm thinking when I pick someone to interview. So I think if you know the audience of the employer you're hiring, you're hoping will hire you, you can say, well, what does that job entail? What types of people will work with you in that job? Do a little research, learn about their mission. What course offerings or programs are similar to those with which you have experience? Can you solve their problems? What are the research interests, publications, and intellectual property of faculty members, administrators, or executives? What is in the pipeline? Sometimes on the science side, if it's a pharmaceutical or drug company or biotech, they might have some things that they're going to be releasing. And what opportunities and expectations exist for research, publication, or new endeavors? Great questions for you to consider when you're applying for a position. So with both the resume or the CV, curriculum vitae, you can either do a chronological format where you start with your most recent and work backwards, or you can do a functional format where you focus more on the skills you have and put the dates and the job titles at the end. Some people like to do a combination, but always prioritize it based on the relevance to your goal. So again, consider your discipline. If you're in business or you're in engineering or science or textiles, it's very unique to those audiences. Always proofread and always think about the font that you're going to use. I would recommend you do not include any photos or charts. You don't want to include anything that is going to be something someone could discriminate about you for. You don't want to overuse the buzzwords or have inappropriate grammar or pronouns. You aren't going to start the sentences with I, they're going to be phrases. Try to take out lots of fluff. They really want to know what you did, and take out extra words like responsibility included or assisted. You don't even need the word phone or email. And any resume details that are over 10 years old. And if you're a college student, probably high school, you won't really need to go back that far. Ensure that you always, with both the resume and with the CV, you meet the job criteria. You're honest, you tailor it to that industry and discipline, you customize it to your audience using the job vacancy, again, like I said, as the rule book. You focus on the results and quantify your accomplishments with metrics. You can list your LinkedIn vanity URL, which is the way that they can see your whole resume on steroids. And if you don't know how to do that, just Google LinkedIn vanity URL. Have your resume critiqued by a mentor. Emphasize the skills that transfer from one industry to another. Pay attention to what is above the fold. So if you were to take a piece of paper and fold it in half, it'll be the top. It's kind of like a newspaper idea. You can use the website wordle.net to put all your words from your resume or CV in there and see which ones pop. Always save your resume as a PDF. Use facts and numbers and action words. Include any social media links or a QR code, and highlight examples of your innovation. Really prove it. Don't just say you're innovative, but give the specific evidence. So the CV, like I said, it's more for an academic audience, but if you've done research as an undergraduate, you could have even had a publication or your name on something. So it's going to be a summary of your educational and professional experiences, usually for an academic audience. So a lot of times if you go on to get your PhD later, you'll be asked to do an overview of teaching, research, and academic service. So if they request the CV, you might see some samples at the Chronicle of Higher Education, and you might consider your discipline because humanities and STEM differ a lot. So when you talk to your career coach in the Career Development Center, make sure that you talk to them specifically about your discipline. In your CV, you can go longer than 1 page if you're an undergraduate. So it could be many pages where you talk about the civic culture, the institutions, the basic research, and the individualistic research that you have done. Again, if you are requested as a CV, you can use all of these examples. And what I would say is take a look at these headings. You may not have all of these headings, but like I said, anyone, undergrad or graduate student, can go on for multiple pages. So even though a resume is really results oriented and very specific, 1 page, how can I help you solve your problems and generate revenue? A CV is more where you put a summary. So here's an example, summary statement that you could put on a CV. And a resume, it could be 1 or 2 pages, usually 1 page for undergraduate. That's going to be more a short account of your qualifications using that job description again as your rule book. So you're going to put in your experience and skills pertinent to that job. And remember that the company is a business culture, it's profit motive, and they're looking more at applied research than an institution, which would be basic research. So they like seeing anything that you've done that's team or patent oriented. And a few final helpful resume tips: focus on results, focus on what you accomplished, use action words. And at this point, you can share your first draft with someone and always ask them, what are the top 3 things you will remember about me? Because if they don't say the same 3 things that you are hoping they will say, then you probably want to redo your resume a little bit. Make sure to make an appointment with a career coach to talk about your CV or your resume.